becomes the excretion system, and the production system can only function because the neurological activities are going on. Whereas here, this is Jnanendriya, the sense organ, is a first Koshas, Upadesasara, the sense of hearing, Koshas, sense of touch, Rupa, sense of sight, and Rasa, sense of taste, and then the sense of smell. All five are attributed to the Jnanendriyas or these knowledge, because only through them only I can know the world. If these senses are not functioning, then I will have no knowledge of the world outside. So I become like a visitor, that I am only eternally in the mind and senses are not functioning. Therefore, the life is also expressed through the five sense organs, if I am contacting and transacting with the world through the five senses. And these are the ones that are required for any perception. I need the five senses function. Without the five senses, obviously, I cannot perceive the world. Whether the world is there or not, it becomes an intermediate problem. So, Jnanendriyani, Manascha. So, Manascha, Manomaya. Here, Manascha is involving activity or modifications of the mind, this part of the mind. So, modifications is the first modification, then the Jnanendriyas bring the information about the object, it converts the information of the senses into a vritti. Into a thought. So mind consists of different thoughts, and each thought is focused on the object outside or the conceptualized object from the memory, or it's about the emotional aspects or bhavas that arise depends upon the moods of the mind. The happiness, anger, all are not sense input, but they are the modifications of the mind itself. So therefore, all that is included in the mind. So everything that I know as this is that, all the knowledge of occurs through the vritti, they are called vritti jnanam. Therefore, it is through the modification of the mind, and mind itself experiences the anubhava of that feeling or of that the object or the sense input, like anger, happiness, and are all modifications of the mind that mind itself experiences as though. So there is aham vritti and idam vritti also raises in the mind. That means I am a knower and this is a known. Both are occurring in the mind and they are all called part of the mind only. So this includes the Manomaya Kosha. So Manomaya Kosha includes the mind, its activities. Its activities include all the thoughts that arise in the mind. So when there are no thoughts in the mind, what happens? So mind can be either the thoughtless state, which they call it a nirvikalpa samadhi, or I can go to in a deep sleep state where the mind is as though folded, so therefore there is no vritti in that. All vritti is, only one vritti is there, that is the avidya vritti, that is the absence of the knowledge of the subject-object relationship. That's called avidya. So that avidya is the paravidya, that which is the ignorance of all aparavidya, ignorance of the whole worldly knowledge is also folded there. So therefore I have no knowledge of the world also. Therefore whether the world exists in the deep sleep state or not is indeterminate, because the determining equipment is not there. Not that the world is there or not. It becomes an indeterminate problem. Therefore time also becomes an indeterminate problem, and space also. Therefore in the deep sleep state there is no time, there is no space, and there is no knowledge of anything. What is the knowledge? Is only one knowledge, and that is the absence of the subject-object, absence of the mind, or the absence of the vritti of the mind. And therefore this is jnanendriyani cha manascha manomayaha sa. So Manomaya includes all activities at the mental level, and even in the full level, unfold, it is Ajnana Vritti is there, and that has to be also is a part of Manomaya. So Manomaya Kosha. In that, Mama Aham Iti Vastu Vikalpa Hetuhu. So in that notions also, this is Mama, this is mine. So that's called Mamakara. So Mamakaram is also a thought in the process and in the mind arises when I feel the ownership, or I have a notion of ownership of things that in the world. So this Mamakara, this is mine, or that starts with either from the body, the Mamakara is highest for my body, and other bodies as well as other objects also. As this is mine, that's mine. So aggrandizing and possessing, that possessive nature, ownership is only a notion in the mind, because nothing really belongs to me. Why? Because everything is Brahman only between mine. Because I am not that. When I am not that, it does nothing to belongs to me. It belongs to the total Prakriti itself. And that's why God himself says, I myself Vibhu, in terms of everything. Says, I am the Yoni for Sarva Bhutanta Atma. I am the Yoni for every being, and all beings are originated from me. So it is from him, or it is him only. So it doesn't belong to me. So this Mamakara is, I am this and this is mine. When say I have this is mine, obviously by the process of inclusion of this as mine, there is an exclusion of that which is not mine. And therefore, in this process of struggle for the ego, I want to make everything as mine, so I try to gather that by either legal process or illegal process. I want to acquire that also, make it as mine. So this is called Mamakaram, and Mamakaram becomes a big bondage for the human being. And this Mamakara and Ahankara, Aham iti, Aham is this is me. So from Mamakara one goes to Ahankara. Why? Starting with this is my body, then this is me, I am the body. So whatever this I have becomes me. So the more I have, more I am. That's why people glorify themselves. You know what? I have a big palace there, or I have millions of dollars there. So therefore I have something that is mine, and but therefore I am also big. Therefore my greatness or ahankara comes by possessions also. So I want to make everything as mine. Therefore I try to go after this object, that object, that object. All that is running, the rat race starts only because of this ahankara and mamakara. Mamakara first, and then becomes ahankara. Mamakara is this is mine, and then when it becomes mine, this is then identification is so much that I am this also comes into picture. So Manomayaha Syat Koshaha. This becomes a kosha as though, because I am trapped in this, in the Manomaya kosha, as I am this mind with all these modifications that including. And Aham iti vastu vikalpa hetuhu. These internal modifications which are responsible for I-ness and minus are part of the Manomaya kosha also. Sanyadi bheda kalana kalito bali. Kalito baliyan. So Sanyadi Bheda Kalana Kalitaha. So Sanya means essentially name and form. Name and form are included in the Sanya. So it's Bheda Kalana. So not only mind tries to know through the five senses, but it discriminates each object based on the attributive content. So when I'm looking at the chair, then I see the attributes of the chair, because all are attributive knowledge. Senses can only gather the attributes. In fact, they don't gather the attributes, they only gather the reflected attributes of the object. The attributes belong to the chair. The form belongs to the chair, and form stays with the chair. What I am only gathering is only senses only gather the reflection of the attributes as the light falls on the chair, only that part of the light that is reflecting, and I get a 3D vision of the form because interestingly, I have two eyes that because of the distance between the two eyes, this is a part of the how stereographic projection occurs, because I have two eyes which are displaced, and therefore I gather the information from each eye and superimpose the image from two ends, and therefore you get a stereographic, a depth analysis that comes because of the two eyes. That's why in the 3D pictures, what they do is they take a polarized picture and use the polarized glasses for me to see, because this picture is taken as though and superimposed by two cameras, with one polarized at 90 degrees and other one is polarized in opposite way, and each one takes the picture and projected the left and the right. And for me to see, the left has to do only one aspect of it, the right eye has to see other aspect. So I am also given a polarized glasses for me to see. Then only I can see the three-dimensional vision, because the left eye only see left aspect of it, and the right eye see only right projection, and these two are superimposed, and I get the depth perception. That forms a buddhi, and that is information. So existence of the object outside has become existence of a thought in my mind, and with the content of the thought is nothing but the reflected attributes of the object as gathered by my senses. If my senses are defective, I only get a defective information only, not the real information. If I am a color blind, the object may have colors, but I would not see all the colors because my senses are not capable to discriminate those colors. That's what it means. Essentially, I am getting a reflected attributes of the object, and the reflection attributes depends upon the capacity of the senses to gather those attributes. And therefore a thought in my mind is nothing but an object out there, and once I form a thought, I give a name depending upon my knowledge. Or when my mother says, "Beta, this is a cow, this is a chair, this is a table," that's how the knowledge gathers. So whenever I form a chair thought and a name is given, that's called sanya. Sanya is a name. So name is given to an attributive content of that thought, which is called an object now. And name and a form includes all the attributes, go together and stored as the memory. So whenever next time I see a cow, I can recollect back, because the name cow and attributes are coming together, information, and I have the picture of the form of a cow based on the name and the object are being brought out. Here, sanyadi bedha. So every object is different from other object because the attributes are different, therefore the object is different. Everything is only attributive knowledge, because the Lord himself said in the analysis of Mundaka Upanishad, he says, I became nama rupa, different names and forms, because adhishthanam, the support is nothing but the Lord himself. So every word, every object differs from other only from the attributive point, but the essence is nothing but Brahman, which is imperceptible, which senses cannot gather. All that is implied here. It says sanya adibeda kalanak, it says kalana kalito It says Kalana Kalitaha. It is an imagination that is projected in the mind and stored as a memory, and that's called Chitta. Therefore we have intellect and the mind and Ahankara and Chittam, 4 Antahkaranas. So memory is there, and I can recollect that memory whenever I want. That's how the human being is equipped with the memory and the recollection capacity. That's how the knowledge takes place. If I forget everything, then I have to relearn every time. So therefore, this is important for recognition. Cognition is seeing the object. Recognition comes from the memory, because information of that is stored, and that what is information. Hey, what is this object with these attributes, and these attributes nothing but a cow or a chair that I know before. If there is no information and the first time I am seeing, then I had to give a name to it, and that becomes Sanya. Sanya Dibeda Kalana Kalito Baliyam. And that's how the mind becomes so powerful by identification with aham, this is mine and I am this. And not only that, this Manomaya Kosha, Tat Purva Kosha Manupurvam Vijrumbate Yaha. It not only is gathering all this information, but it pervades also the other koshas also. Therefore, it pervades the Annamaya Kosha and also Pranamaya Kosha. So the mind is the one which controls this, the Pranamaya and Annamaya also. So I can control my breathing exercises by using the mind. And that process is because the mind pervades even the Pranamaya Kosha. Therefore, Tat Purva Kosha. So it is one is pervasive or more subtler than the previous kosha. So Pranamaya Kosha pervades the Annamaya Kosha. So Manomaya Kosha pervades not only the Pranamaya Kosha and also Annamaya Kosha. Because wherever you touch me, I say, hey, you are touching me. How do I know? Because my mind can easily fail. But when I am in the deep sleep state, where the mind is completely folded, you may touch me, but only unconsciously I may move out, but I have no knowledge of the contact with the external world. Therefore, it's the mind that is active part has to be there for interaction. So, Tat Purva Koshaha Manupurvam. So, Anupurvam Vijrumbate. So, mind becomes so powerful because of this. It says in the scripture, Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamokshayo. Mind is responsible for both bondage as well as liberation too, depending upon how I re-educate the mind. So that's why the whole analysis is to the mind only, that I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, and with the mind I have to say I am not the mind also, but I am that which enlivens the mind. That knowledge also has to occur in the mind only. That process has to be done by the Viveka. Discriminative intellect only, I have to say, by discriminating, I am not this, I am a subject, and everything else is object, including the mind is I know. Because people keep changing their minds. Therefore, the changing mind they know. I have something in mind before, now I change my mind. Which means that I am aware of the mind changing also. That means I am conscious of the mind too. Therefore, I am that subject, and mind is also object of my perception or by knowledge. All that is implied in this sloka. It says, Tat Purva Kosha Manupurva Vijrumbate Yaha. So therefore, this Manomaya Kosha includes Jnanendriyas plus all other previous koshas that through which it pervades, Annamaya Kosha as well as the Manomaya Kosha. Death is nothing but this Manomaya Kosha withdraws and Pranamaya Kosha along with it, it goes away, leaving only the Annamaya Kosha there. All that will be analyzed as we go through, and this we will do in the next class. We'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.